Untap, upkeep, and welcome back to the channel if you've been here before, and if you haven't, sit back, relax, and enjoy our show for you today. It is Easter Sunday today, so happy Easter to anybody and everybody that celebrates it. And as you can see, yes, I did get back from my concert. It was amazing. They are great. I shared a quick little short about it on my video just to kind of explain why I haven't released another video in a while. So today I'm going to dive into a poll that I had about a week ago, almost a week and a half ago now, uh, doing a budget build of one of three possible commanders. And if you didn't see that, what's wrong with you? You're already watching the video. Like, subscribe, share the content, leave me some comments, and ring the bell for notifications because you never know what I've got up my sleeve next. I'm pretty sure you're stronger than the 1-1 that the like button is, and I'm definitely positive you're better than the 0-2 that the subscribe button is. Hit him with your first strike and let's get subscribed and let's like. So let's move into the build for today. For today, we are going to dive into looking at Betor, Pin to All. I have a non-budget version of this deck that I'm still modifying and tweaking here and there, and I really love this build. I have been trying to get some kind of Abzan dragon themed deck going, at least led by a dragon, to kind of get everything the way that I want it to. But the only thing we had was Teneb, and he is really like a graveyard strategy, and I already have one graveyard themed deck, possibly two. I didn't want to make another. So when Betor came out, I fell in love, and this is a very budget friendly deck. As you can see, we're just over 65 bucks, but I'm cheating a little bit because some of the cards in here you're able to get from the precon, so those prices should start coming down more. And the commander himself is 30 bucks. So, and that's this version. The other versions are not quite as expensive. So if we go over here to switch the printing, you could get the regular version for about 10 bucks. I actually have the version that we're using right now, and it's absolutely gorgeous in person. If you enjoy the blacked out version, he's a little over 15, and so you have some options. I wish my version was foiled, not because of the price, but because it looks so beautiful in person. So aside from a couple of cheat cards that I'll kind of talk about here and there that are from a precon, everything in here should be $1 or less, excluding the commander, of course, because, you know, he's new. Give him a little bit, he'll get circulated, and the price will start coming down more. But this is Betor, Kin to All. For a whopping 2, a white, black, and a green, we get a big old 5/7 Spirit Dragon from the new Dragon's Storm Tarkir set, or Tarkir Dragon Storm set, whichever way you prefer to say that. And he has a wonderful stack of abilities. So he's got flying, first of all, and then he says the following paragraph, quite literally. At the beginning of your end step, if creatures you control have total defense of 10 or more, draw a card. Then, if creatures you control have a total defense of 20 or more, untap each creature you control. And then finally, if creatures you control have total defense of 40 or more, each opponent loses half their life, rounded up. Yeah. I actually got to do this here recently at my local game store twice. He got to go off twice. I didn't win. The player after me, shout out to Anthony, one of the Anthonys that we have two that go to our store. But shout out to Anthony for being able to get that win. It was pretty bad. I mean, he mono blue went infinite and just eventually went and got his he said he was after. Could have won the game in a couple of different ways, but he decided to go old school and just ping everybody to death with what essentially is called a Tim deck. He used one of the Tim cards you would see, which is tap, deal a damage to target creature or player, which I think has been eroded to say tap, deal 1 damage to any target. Was really interesting to see that. He had Thassa's Oracle and Lab Man. He could have won that way too, but he won a different way, and I applaud that. So good job, Amph. But aside from that, my deck got to go off twice, and mine is not budget friendly, so keep that in mind. But let's look into more about the deck itself on this budget friendly build. So one of our more utility creatures here, or creatures I shouldn't really be saying, even though she looks like one. Our Planeswalker is Elspeth the Sun's Champion. 4 white white for a full loyalty Planeswalker that comes into play and has the following abilities. +1, we get to make 3 1/1 soldier creature tokens. That's not bad, honestly. That means, at the very least, if we have nothing else but Betor and Elspeth, we're at least going to be able to draw a card. So it's not bad. Not bad. She's in here because she has a couple of versatility to her, though. So we can -3 to destroy all creatures power 4 or greater. Yes, that would get rid of Betor if he is out, but traditionally we don't play Betor until we know we can do something, or we absolutely have to start drawing some cards. So if nothing else, she's 6 mana, board wipe, and then next turn protect herself. Or if we have some of our defenders out, because a lot of them are like 2 or less power. Some creatures in the deck are 3 or less power, so they should survive her board wipe capabilities. Assuming nobody had any kind of protection piece going on, we're going to hit the board pretty evenly and be able to continue doing our thing. But her last ability is kind of unique, and it might come up in some games, it might not. But you can -7 to get an emblem with creatures you control, get +2/+2, and have flying. So that could be relevant. It would make all of our soldiers 3/3s with flying, and if we just have 3 of them, that's 9 total defense on top of Betor. So we're already up to 16. We don't need much more to start having life totals and just wrecking shop. And don't forget, you can still attack with this deck. There's ways. We are very, very creature heavy, running a whopping 28 creatures, and we're going to dive into it. So first up, we have Abzan Beast Master. So for 3 mana, we get a 2/1 that says at the beginning of your upkeep, draw a card if you control the creature with the greatest toughness or tied for the greatest toughness. 9 out of 10 times, that's going to be us. There's not a whole lot of decks out there with a bigger booty than we have, and we like that, so we're probably going to draw from this. One of the cards from the precon, though, is Abhor Adherent. So for 4 mana, we get a 2/4 that is going to survive our Elspeth board wipe. It says tap, add 1 of any color, but we can also tap it to add X mana of any one color, where X is the greatest toughness among other creatures we control. So at the very least, if it comes out and we have Betor, we can make 7 of any one color. Aventon's Pilgrim is just a cheap little mana dork. He sees a lot of play in any kind of white-green or white-green X deck. So he comes into play with a green mana, but we can tap him to make a white mana, so we could color fix a little bit. Axebane Guardian, 3 mana for a 0/3 defender, meaning he can't attack unless something modifies that, which we'll get to later on in this video. There are ways to modify that. But he can add X mana of any combination of colors, for X is the number of creatures you control with defender. We control a fair amount. We're not Arcades defender heavy, but we are fair defender heavy, so we have a couple of ways to generate at least some positive mana out of this guy. Bedrock Tortoise is hilarious in this deck. It's an 0/6 for 4 mana, and as long as it's our turn, creatures we control have Hexproof. And then, each creature you control with toughness greater than its power assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. So now, our Betor becomes essentially a 7/7, not a 5/7, so he could put people on a 3-turn clock just with this card being on the battlefield. Kevin Carvin, Herited, just a 2/5 defender that comes into play, draws us a card. Fakund Green Shell. Or is it Fasund Green Shell? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong. But I heard it on another YouTube channel called Elder Dragon Hijinks, which if you haven't watched them, you totally should. Ailey and Olivia are hilarious. They're great games to watch. But Ailey was having hilarious fun. She had a similar build, and she kept saying this Fakund Green Shell, and it was just funny to me. It sounds like you're saying a bad word, but you're really not, and mentally it's weird. But anyway, for 5 mana, we get a 4/6 turtle with reach, and it has a list of abilities and things it does. So as long as you control 10 or more lands, creatures we control get a +2/+2. Or not really too thrilled about that, but we'll take it. And then it says, whenever the green shell or another creature you control with toughness greater than its power enters, look at the top card of your library. If it's a land card, you may put it onto the battlefield tapped. Otherwise, put it into your hand. So it's essentially free card draw or ramp. So it has a lot of versatility, and we really kind of enjoyed in this build. The Fabro Elder, just basically a super mana dork. So for every color that we have, which we only have 3, it can make 3 mana. It also has vigilance, so and then it becomes a 3/3. Not bad. This is a card I'm surprised hasn't really skyrocketed in price yet, but it probably will as more people get out there. This is the Essence of Antiquity. It's from the Murders of Karlov Manor, and it is a 1/10 for 5 mana. So yeah, that's a little steep, but it has a hidden ability. It has Disguise. So for 2 and a white, you may play this card face down for 3 mana as a 2/2 creature with Ward 2, and we can turn it face up at any time for its Disguise cost. So for 3 mana of any color or colorless, whatever, we can play this guy face down. And then at any point in time, our stuff is being targeted, we can pay 2 and a white to flip it back over, and it has this next part. So whenever it's turned face up, creatures you control gain hexproof until end of turn, and we get to untap them. So if we had some like instant speed removal, or we're just trying to protect our board from spot removal, we can flip this guy up and say no, get wrecked. The former big booty chairman of the board, Doran the Siege Tower, has made his appearance into the chat, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. So for white, black, green, he's an 05 Treefolk Shaman. And he used to be the go-to for this kind of build. I think they're kind of interchangeable, but I really think Betor's going to win in the end. Just because he does offer card draw. But Doran says, each creature assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. Now, this affects the entire battlefield, not just ours, so that could be pretty beneficial. Most creatures have a higher attack power and a lower defensive power, so we could see a lot of landslides in this. Dauntless Escort, 3 mana for a 3/3 that we can sack and give our stuff indestructible, which could come in handy. Crashing Drawbridge, 2 mana for 04 Defender that gives our stuff haste whenever we tap it. Indomitable Ancients. Again, it's from the precon. It's just a vanilla 2/10. So it's something you can get in the precon. Nothing big, nothing splashy. Just a huge 2/10 beat stick, really. Nethroi, Apex of Death, is a great include to this deck. If you don't have one, snag one while you can. I know it came in one of the precons last year or the year before. Grab it while you can. It's still a little cheap. It's just over $1. It's fixing to skyrocket because of what it does. So it has mutate. So for 4, either white or green, and then double black, we can mutate this onto a non-human creature, which we don't have a lot of humans in the deck. So, like, we could, do this on our Betor, who's a big dumb dragon. And then you could put it either on top or on the bottom. On top, it will become a Nethroi with all the stuff on the bottom, or on the bottom, it will become Betor with all the other stuff on the bottom. I believe that's how mutate works. Weird mechanic. But anyways, the reason why we want to mutate this is after we've had a horrible board wipe that killed like everything. Because it has Death Touch and Lifelink, it's a 5/5, but when this creature mutates, return any number of target creature cards with total power 10 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Y'all, we're a very defensive heavy deck. Our creatures don't have a lot of power, so that's what we're going to get back. All of our stuff. Practically. Depending on how much of it is in there, we're practically going to get all our stuff. There might be a couple of times you're like, want that, but I need this. And you might actually have to do some math. But as a general rule of thumb, anything like this, the Overgrown Battlement, who's got 0, it's just got to come back for free. So we can get a huge number of it. Which, by the way, since I had to hover over here to it, it's just a 04 Defender, which can tap to add a green for each creature we control with Defender. Before that, we have the Nyx Fleece Ram, also from the precon. At the beginning of our upkeep, we gain 1 life. 2 mana for 0/5 is not bad. Overgrown Battlement is also from the precon. Another card from our precon. You notice that we got a lot of stuff in the precon. He's really good in a budget version of this deck, like this is. In a non-budget version, I probably would swap him out for something else. but this is Rampart Architect. So for 4 mana, we get a 3/4 that when it enters or attacks, and make a 1/3 walled creature tucked in with Defender. And then whenever a creature you control with a Defender dies, you may search your library for a basic land card, put that card onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. So if we have a bunch of defenders and they all die from a board wipe, we can ramp like a train and possibly do something. It's just a nice little include from the precon. My non-budget version of this deck does not run this anymore, just because there's better options that I can do with the 4 mana slot. Resolute Watchdog, 1 mana for a 1/3. Defender, sack it. Target creature we control gains indestructible until end of turn. Wall of Junk, 2 mana 07 with Defender. Whenever it blocks, return it to its own hand at the end of combat. Wall of Blossoms, an 04 Defender. It came in the precon. ATBs, draw a card. Walking Bulwark also came from the precon. It's a 1 mana 0/3 with Defender, but for 2 mana, we can make anything that has Defender gain haste, so we like that. Tree of Redemption, again from the precon. 4 mana for a 0/13 Defender that we can tap and exchange our life total with this creature's toughness. So we can make a Hooge and do some damage. Civic Carotid, again, the precon. 2 mana for an 0/3 mana dork with Defender and Hexproof. Rumic Armasaur is a really fun card in this deck. So whenever an opponent activates an ability of a creature or land that isn't a mana ability, you may draw a card. So for 3 mana, we get a 2/5 that allows us to draw cards early in the game. Not bad at all. Wall of Omens, a 2 mana 0/4 Defender that ETBs, draws us a card. Wall of Roots. If I remember correctly, this actually came in the precon. Why it's not the version for the precon, I don't know. But for 2 mana, we get an 0/5 Defender that we can put a -1 counter on it to add a green mana, but can only do it once each turn. Yes, you can do it on your opponent's turns, and it may or may not be beneficial. The Wall of Tangle Cord, 2 mana for an 0/6 Defender that we can pay a green mana to make it have reach until end of turn. So if we have some of the other pieces out that make it be able to do damage equal to its toughness, it becomes instead of a 0/6, it becomes a 6/6 creature with reach, which knocks out most dragons and other things. And then, of course, Welcoming Vampire. I'm so glad it got another reprint. It came in the precon. And it says whenever one or more creatures you control with power 2 or less enters, draw a card only once each turn. Y'all made me yawn again. That's not nice. It's not nice at all. Let's move forward to our sorcery package, though, and let's see what we're cooking over here. So, we're running a couple of ramp spells with Cultivate, Farseek, and Rampant Growth. In general, they're just really good ramp spells. I mean, that's really nothing to it. We are very board wipe heavy because most of it is going to be stuff that doesn't hurt us. So we have Fail the Mighty, destroy our creatures of power greater than target creature power. Expel the Interlopers, choose a number between 0 and 10. Destroy all creatures of power greater than or equal to the chosen number. Dusk to Dawn, destroy all creatures of power 3 or greater, and when it's in our graveyard, we can exile it, pay 3 white, to return all creatures with power 2 or less from our graveyard to our hand, so we can get our stuff back. Slaughter the Strong. Each player chooses any number of creatures they control with total power 4 or less, and then sacrifices all other creatures. That's very, very important because anything that says it's indestructible, like a Blightsteel Colossus or an Avacyn Angel of Hope, this gets around that because it says, no. Choose the number of the creatures you have with power 4 or less, and then you're sacrificing the rest of them. They're not being destroyed. They are being sent to the graveyard by a way of sacrifice. So, on your whole day. Finally, something from the precon is Tip the Scales. So for 3 mana, we get a sorcery that says sacrifice a creature. When you do, all creatures get -X until end of turn. X is the sacrifice creature's toughness. So we can sacrifice something really, really big and just massively board wipe the whole battlefield, like the tree is an 0/13 at the minimum, and just wreck everybody. And because it's a neg X, again, it gets around indestructibility, so we just don't frankly give a poop. Then we also have Reunion of the House, a special card from the new precon. So for 7 mana, which is awful steep, I know, return any number of target creatures with total power 10 or less from our graveyard to the battlefield and exile this card. So it's essentially another Nethroi for a little bit more mana, I believe, or right about the same. So we like being able to get all our stuff back. So we have 3 ways to get all our stuff back, so we like that. We're running 11 sorceries. Most of them have ways to either deal with something in our way or protect our board in general. So we have Abrupt Decay, Generous Gift, Abzan Charm, which has a couple of different modes. We can blow something. We can get rid of some kind of creature with power 3 or greater. Draw 2 cards, lose 2 life, or put 1/1 counters on a couple of creatures. Anguish of Making, thank God it got reprinted in the precon. Exile target non-land permanent. Despark, we can exile something. And Swords and Path can all exile something. Now we have Tower Defense to instant speed, make our defense really, really high to either continue on with blocks or get Betor to trigger. Collective Resistance is from the Modern Horizons 3 set, which we really enjoy, and it has a couple of modes. We can pay a green mana for each mode we want to choose beyond the first, but for just a minimum of 2 mana, we can blow up an artifact, an enchantment, or make something that is a creature, hexproof, and indestructible until end of turn. We are also running a new one from the Parkir Dragonstorm set. This is Beauty Beyond Death. 2 mana, we have to sacrifice a creature while we play this card. That's fine. Creatures we control gain indestructible until end of turn. Put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. And then finally, we have Join Shields. It's kind of an obscure card. So for 3, a white and a green, we get untap all creatures you control. They gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. So it's an overcosted heroic intervention, if you will, or even what the hell is it? Smuggler's Surprise. But if you're on a budget, not a bad option to consider, guys. It's really not. Because I'm making mistakes over here, hitting more buttons than I need to. Whoopsies. Next up, we have our Mana Rock package, which is pretty standard. We have all the signets in here. Our Commander Sphere, our Soul Ring, our Swiftfoot Boots. Yeah, they're over the budget, but they're kind of standard with any commander deck, so I let them slide. A couple of our talismans, and of course a Felwar Stone. Not really a whole lot going on there. For our enchantment package, we're pretty much what you would expect. Assault Formation allows our creatures to assign combat damage equal to their toughness. For a green mana, we can make anything that has Defender be able to attack, and then we can pay 2 and a green to have creatures we control get a bigger booty. Not bad. It came in the precon, as well as this new card from the precon, Dolls of Defeat. So, whenever a creature you control enters, target opponent loses life equal to the difference between that creature's power and its toughness. What that essentially means is if you play the tree, who is a 0/13, and this is out, you can make somebody lose 13 life, and it is absolutely hilarious. Stone Skin is a card that people are really excited about having because of this deck. So it has flash speed for a enchantment aura that is going to cost you 2 and a white, and it's very simple. Enchanted creature gets a +0/+10. It's simple, very, very simple, but it's effective, and it could help get Betor to start triggering more and more. Our land package is pretty standard, I think. I mean, there's nothing really too special to point out in the land package. We're so budget friendly that this is all stuff you could get basically in the precon minus your pain lands here. Some of the pain lands are not in the precon, which I don't know why they weren't. They should have been, because the other Betor in that deck cares about life loss. So you need some way to lose some life. They're just pretty standard mana base, really. I mean, there's nothing too fancy going on there. But I want to get down here. You can see our mana curve. We're fairly beautiful, I would like to say. We have a couple high-end cards, not too many. Our ratio, of course, we're very heavy in the green, heavy in the white, light on the black. Mm, mm, what would we draw? So we could do a turn 2 cultivate and just start doing dumb things. Yeah, that would have been a pretty good hand. But I'm gonna take y'all back up here. And this is my monstrous considering board. So, um, some of this was in the precon, and it's just out of what is the budget constraint for this. And some of it is not. I'm going to tell you, I'm a terrible person because of what I'm going to do with this deck, and I haven't got it to go off yet, but I keep trying. So, if you're looking to upgrade this deck and you're looking for some cards to swap in and out, it usually pertains to your meta. Um, but play the deck a little bit and see what cards are constantly stuck in your hand and what cards aren't, and that'll help you decide on what needs to happen as far as changes. So first up, we have Tree of Predation, which is just like the other tree. It's an 013 defender, but instead of exchanging your life total, you exchange somebody else's life total with the tree. That's brutal. The face commander for the Abzan Precon, who is just over $3, because this tree is now skyrocketed to $23. Good God. Um, all because of this deck, I think. So each creature you control assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. Creatures you control can attack as though they didn't have defender. And then on top of all of this, Felithar also says tap 3, tap him, sacrifice another creature, draw cards equal to the sacrificed creature's toughness, and then discard cards equal to its power. Felithar, the Steadfast, is a whopping 0-5 that costs you 4 mana, 1, and then Abzan. And as you can see, you can just take the stock precon, modify it a little bit, and you could do a lot of damage with it. Just because he is super card draw. But I didn't want to do that. I really fell in love with the way Betor works, and I just wanted to do something stupid. Pardon me. Another one that's in the precon, and we're all surprised by the reprint, is Dragon Lord Dramoka. So for 4, a white and a green, we get a big old 5/7 Elder Dragon that cannot be countered, has flying, has lifelink, and your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. So he protects our board from like instant speed interaction, as long as he's out. So yeah, he should definitely go into the deck if you have one. Crystal Barricades from Foundations, and it's going up in price a little bit because of Arcades. I think a lot of it's because of this build as well. So for 2 mana, we get an 0-4 defender that says you have hexproof. Prevent all non-combat damage that would be dealt to other creatures you control. So it literally protects our entire battlefield, but it. And yeah, if you got one, somebody's got one, get it. It's great in this deck. The Birds of Paradise, just a better version of our Avacyn's Pilgrim, in my opinion. So you can swap the two of those out. Weathered Sentinels did come with the precon. Its price just hasn't dropped enough that I felt comfortable throwing it into the deck at the time of the build. It's getting there, so we'll see. 3 mana, we get a 2/5 with Defender, Vigilance, Reach, and Trample. And this creature can attack players who attacked you during their last turn, as though it didn't have Defender. So if we got attacked, we can use this to attack next turn. And it also has whenever this creature attacks, it gets a +3/+3 and gains indestructible until end of turn. What? And it has Vigilance. So we can swing somebody. We can swing at somebody, and then we can keep it up as a blocker. What? No way. And yes. I kind of danced around one of the other big things in the deck. The Bloodletter of Alcalazaz. So for 1 and triple black, we get a 2/4 Vampire Demon that has flying. And it says, if an opponent will lose life, during your turn. They lose twice that much life instead. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. So let me get this straight. If Betor's out, and we have the upgraded version of this deck, and then we have 40 or more defense, and this dumb idiot's out, nobody interacts. It's GG's. I like it. It's exactly what I'm trying to do with my actual in-person paper build of this deck. Is I'm trying to get the Bloodletter out with enough defense and surprise just kill the board. It's very, very hard to do, actually. I haven't got it to go off yet. It's very, very hard. We have a couple other things to go over here. We have Nature's Lore to kind of go get some of our better mana. Last March of the Ents is an absolute card drawing bomb in this deck. So for 6 double green, this spell cannot be countered. Draw cards equal to the greatest toughness among other creatures you control. Then put any number of creature cards from your hand onto the battlefield. Y'all, this gets around the counter spells because they're being put onto the battlefield, not being cast. So on your whole counter spells, we don't care. Poop poo on you, and it is just great. For some instance, we have the Smuggler's Surprise and Heroic Intervention. We also have the Assassin's Trophy, and I recently took this out of my build, but I'm leaving it here just in case you kind of might want to. Oladomri's calls instant speed, go tutor up something and put it into our hand. I don't like the fact that we have to reveal it, so maybe a different tutor would work better for you. The whole reason of it was to literally get the Bloodletter. That was it. Bloodletter or Dragonlord Tramoka. Either one. That's all we cared about. Another upgrade would be the Lightning Greaves, which apparently got reprinted in one of the precons, just not this one. This card has exploded in price because of this deck. So, Ramos Ecor Ancient Shield. So for 4 mana, you get a legendary artifact that says, whenever you cast your second spell each turn, draw a card, and then make an 0/3 white wall creature token with Defender. That's great. I mean, that's enough. We're good to go, right? But wait, hold on, there's more. So at the beginning of combat on your turn, creatures you control with Defender gain Exalted until end of turn. Meaning, if we swing with just Betor, and only Betor, and we have like... we'll say 5 creatures with Defender, Betor is going to get a +5/+5. And if anything is modifying him so he has, damage equal to his booty, he just 12 damage somebody potentially in the face. What? Really, the best part of it is it poops out a wall and draws us a card. I don't know. The Betor swinging in by himself or something huge swinging by itself might be enough to end the game. Might not. That's a nice little bonus, but predominantly it draws us cards and makes us a body. And finally, the other version of the Bloodletter, the one before it, its predecessor, if you will, is Wound Reflection. And it says the same thing. At the beginning of each end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life they've lost this turn. The only restriction, the only difference really is it doesn't have to be on our turn. It's just anybody's turn. So, like, you could probably entice other people to just start swinging in and dealing damage and just really speed up a game. Assuming it doesn't need a kill spell, which it probably will. Then last but not least, I have some lands I would throw in to upgrade it. Your shock lands are always good here. The battle bond lands are great. And then, of course, your Triome to help fix our mana base a little bit. They're not really necessary, but if you have them, throw them in. If you don't, you're going to be fine. We're running 37 lands in the deck, so we should be pretty okay hitting our land drops. Every time I've played the deck so far in my non-budget version, it has done fairly well. It has made itself a presence. In the last game I played with it, I almost won. I had more life than everybody, and it was kind of funny. Now, it wasn't like, me at only 40 and everybody else at like 2 by any means. It was just, things have happened, and I was down to like below 20 life, and everybody else was below 10. If I could have got one more turn, I think I could have wrapped that game up. But alas, Anthony got the win before I could, so it is what it is. But this has been Betor, kin to all, where everything is $1 or less, minus a few excludes from precons. Let me know what you think. What do you think about old Betor, the big booty dragon, as I'm having affection calling him? Uh, I love the build. It's a fun deck to play. You could always ratchet the power level of the thing up another notch if you really felt like it. I don't think it really needs it. I think it's just a fun deck playing where it is. Brackets 2 to 4. Um, well, 4 might be a little bit high for this build. 2 to 3 is probably very good for it. But this has been Betor, the kin to all. Leave me some comments, y'all. Let me know what you think about Betor and the build, and let me know what else you would like to see me build. Is there something else you've been trying to work around that just hasn't quite got there yet? Let me know. I'll see if I can help. I'll see if I can build it, and I'll see what wacky thing we can come up with. I know that another gamer from our local game store has issued a challenge that I'm trying to help him build, and maybe I'll flesh it out on Moxfield here and share it out with all y'all. With all that said, do remember, like, share, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. It's not that hard, everybody. It's really, really not. Because I know you're stronger than the like button, who's only a 1-1. And I know that 0-2 subscribe button has no match against you when you have first strike as a 2-2. So, what are you waiting for? Go ahead. You won't regret it. We have a lot of fun here. I have other things I'm working on to get down the pipe. And we'll see where it all takes us. If you have been enjoying the deck builds, let me know. Are you enjoying my budgets, or are you enjoying just all the wacky things I build? Lastly, let's not forget, if the arena gameplay is something that really intrigues you, let me know. I only have a couple of videos up for it, but I plan to do more if that's something everybody would like to see, is more actual gameplay. Eventually, we might get to a point where we'll see all of these kind of decks I've put on the channel go to battle in person. That's something that really intrigues you. Stay tuned, spread the word. Remember, I've been the Buddha Dragon. Don't forget, rub that belly for mana, and may your games be filled with magic. Until the next game,